In the early 2000s, the NFL belonged to wide receivers who made noise as much as they made plays. There were the dancers, the talkers, the theatrics after every touchdown. Highlight reels cut between spiraling footballs and choreographed celebrations. Cameras chased egos as much as they captured effort. But in that world of spectacle, one man refused the microphone. He didn't need it. His message came through routes run with ruthless precision, catches made in traffic, and collisions that left defenders doubting their profession. Andre Johnson did not ask for attention. He commanded it without a word. And that's why they called him the Silent Assassin. Because when the lights came up on Sunday, you never saw him scream, but you always felt the damage. How does a man with so few words leave such an unforgettable echo in the NFL? To answer that, you have to understand where he came from. Andre Johnson was born in Miami in 1981, raised in a neighborhood where toughness wasn't a trait. It was survival. The city was fast, loud, and complicated. For young Andre, the streets were a constant reminder of what could go wrong. Quiet by nature, he learned early to let action speak on his behalf. Sports placed the first layer of armor around him. On the track, he sharpened his speed. Every stride stretched further, separating him from competition. On the football field, he combined that burst with raw power. He wasn't just another athlete trying to make it out. He was different. His coaches saw it. His peers felt it. It was the University of Miami that gave him the stage he needed. At the turn of the century, the U was less a college program and more a conveyor belt to the NFL. The Hurricanes roster overflowed with household names, future Pro Bowlers, future Hall of Famers, a glamour program that blended talent with swagger. Amid all that noise was Andre Johnson, quiet, physical, efficient. He didn't dominate with antics. He dominated with an understudy's patience and a star's execution. Teammates knew if he lined up opposite a defender, the matchup was already won. Coaches schemed for him because even among a galaxy of talent, Johnson's speed-size combination was rare. He carried the frame of a power forward, yet moved like a sprinter. Few players could press him at the line. Fewer still could chase him once separation was created. The ultimate validation came under the brightest lights of all, the 2002 Rose Bowl, the national championship game against Nebraska. Miami was already a juggernaut, but Johnson turned the contest into his personal showcase. 7 catches, 199 yards, 2 touchdowns. Each reception cut deeper into Nebraska's defense, carving their hopes into shreds. Broadcasters struggled to find words, repeating the same phrases about his size, his speed, his impossible matchups. Defensive backs clutched at air as he outran them, overpowered them, humiliated them. That night wasn't merely about winning a title for Miami, it was about announcing Andre Johnson to the football world. In many ways, the Rose Bowl was a microcosm of his career. There were flashier teammates who soaked up interviews, louder programs that boasted about swagger, but when the game demanded someone unshakable, Johnson emerged. He didn't celebrate. He didn't need to. The scoreboard, the dominance, the sheer imbalance of his impact was celebration enough. Scouts left Pasadena scribbling his name with underlines. They already envisioned him wearing an NFL jersey, terrorizing cornerbacks on Sundays. And they knew, beyond the measurables and the highlights, that Johnson carried something rarer, the calm of a killer. He didn't talk about being the best. He just lined up, snapped off the line of scrimmage, and proved it with his body. From the rough neighborhoods of Miami to the fever pitch of college football's grandest stage, Andre Johnson built his legend the same way he would continue it in the NFL. Not with words, not with self-promotion, but with dominance so undeniable it demanded respect. The Silent Assassin's story was only just beginning, but already the pattern was clear. He would let the world talk. His job was simpler. His job was to destroy whoever stood in front of him, and do it without saying a thing. The 2003 NFL Draft placed Andre Johnson 3rd overall to the Houston Texans, a franchise still in its infancy. Expansion teams often struggle for identity. Houston desperately needed a star, someone to legitimize their football existence. In Johnson, they found both anchor and weapon. Unlike many young receivers, there was no learning curve of arrogance or immaturity. From the moment he pulled on a Texans jersey, he carried himself with the quiet professionalism that would define his entire career. His rookie season revealed flashes, but soon, the flashes became full storms. Year after year, Johnson piled up yards and receptions with extraordinary consistency. What made his dominance remarkable was context. The Texans rotated quarterbacks like a carousel. Offensive lines collapsed. Defenses keyed on him because they often had no one else to fear. And still, he produced. Defensive backs dreaded lining up across from him, not only because of his size, 6 feet 3 inches, 230 pounds, but because of the inevitability he radiated. There was simply no good answer to his combination of strength, speed, and precision. In a franchise still clawing for respect, Andre Johnson was the one unquestionable constant, building credibility with every Sunday he suited up. Johnson's style was violence wrapped in control. He didn't dance after catches. He didn't taunt opponents. But his stiff arms were devastating. His yards after the catch became highlight reels, not because of flash, but because of force. Tacklers bounced off him like he was forged from steel. He had the aura of inevitability. You could slow him, but rarely stop him. And then, in 2010, the simmering aggression beneath that stoic exterior finally boiled over. Facing Tennessee, notorious agitator Cortland Finnegan jabbed and provoked him snap after snap until Johnson snapped back. The two tore into each other, fists flying, helmets ripped away. For once, the silent assassin unleashed his fury in the open. That fight became part of his myth. It didn't tarnish his reputation, it elevated it. For years, fans and peers had known Johnson was all business, all control. When Finnegan dragged him into ugliness, Johnson showed that beneath the ice-cold composure was fire, raw and uncontainable. It was the embodiment of who he really was. No need for words, but never to be underestimated. That moment added layers to his legend, proof that silence is not weakness, but restraint, and even restraint has limits. And so we arrive at his legacy. 17 NFL seasons, over 14,000 receiving yards, 7 Pro Bowls, 2 first-team All-Pro selections. He delivered numbers that put him among the best of his generation. Yet when Hall of Fame discussions appear, doubts creep in. Critics point to Houston's mediocrity, the lack of playoff success, the absence of championship rings. They argue his dominance was obscured by teams that rarely reached a national stage. But those who played against him, those who lined up across from him, tell a different story. They describe a nightmare, a man who bullied elite cornerbacks without saying a word. They recall his professionalism, his relentless consistency, his quiet destruction every week. Andre Johnson may not have been the loudest, the flashiest, or the most marketed, but he was respected, feared, and admired. And so the ultimate question mirrors the man himself. Should greatness be defined by the noise surrounding it, or by the impact it leaves behind? Andre Johnson was a silent force, but his echoes ripple still. The Hall of Fame may measure rings and records, but fans know that the silent assassin carved his name into football history not with speeches, but with undeniable dominance.